Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the respected dignitaries, distinguished speakers, honorable participants, and the loving audience, all beautiful people present here from all around the globe. I, Ms. Nada Ratkovic, IIU board member, country director, IIU Croatia, the president of Research Center IIU, and the co-founder of IIU Europe, welcome you all to the World Education Summit 2023 on the topic The Roadmap of Education 2030, the day two, jointly organized by International Internship University, Global Community Forum, Education 2030, and IIU Research Center. Yesterday, we have an amazing day. We have an amazing day with our great, eminent guest speakers. And we know that the importance of education, it is multifaceted nature, and it is demonstrated by the fact that our estimated speakers yesterday say and present in number of ways a number of purposes. Let me first introduce our Global Community for Education 2030. It is formed to promote and implement United Nations 2030 Agenda SDG 4 for making education accessible to all through partnerships, policy guidance, capacity development, monitoring, advocacy. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development is a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. Comprises 17 SDGs. Sustainable Development Goal 4 is the education goal to ensure inclusive, equitable, quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Education 2030 is a Trion declaration and a framework for action for the implementation of SDG 4. Professor Pradip Mandal is a founder. He's a founder of Global Educators Forum and Global Metaverse Community. Mr. Piyush Pandit is a founder of International Internship University. He's a president here of the Global, he's the president here. And Professor Nada Ratkoch is the president of IU Research Center COO. Dr. Snikta Kadam is a COO of International Internship University, and she is the chairperson of Global Community for Education 2030. IIU is our next organizer, a leading virtual education system, a global brand confederation, which is most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs. Globally, it is a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to provide better and virtual educations to all the young learners of the globe. IIU is metamorphosing the conventional education system by cutting down the additional costs and providing access to more than 1,000 plus courses and internships to the e-learners across the globe with the help of its 1,000 plus global educators. In a short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit, sir. Research Center is also an International Internship University unique hub. It is giving an opportunity for the researchers, authors, educators, students, and scholars across the globe and enhances the research opportunities, academic excellence, real-world problem-solving, knowledge creation, dissemination. The high-caliber global educators team is dedicated to here. So it is a careful and organized study, and it is giving and gathering information about the specific topics, data, critical information, interpretation, and all. Me, Professor Nada Ratko, as the president of IU Research Center, thinks if you have ever thought about how would be the world without education, research, science, innovation, technology, or any development, then you can join us. And yes, today you can join us here on this amazing event. So let's acquire a knowledge of future education 2030. Education can change the way you look at yourself, at the world. A good education is a key to successful life. Education has the power to make the world a better place. And let us today continue and cherish the adore the real value of good education. And yes, you can, and yes, we can change the world with education. Today, it's my honor. We have an amazing new master of the ceremony. Yesterday, great Professor Karudin. Today, we have a lady, a woman, a madam, a professor, Charmaine Gangan. She's coming from South Africa. She's a founder and chairperson. She's first global entrepreneurship catalyst Symposium 2022. She's a founder and COO, CGM of training and consulting. So, welcome an amazing master of the ceremony, Professor Sherman Duncan. Welcome, enlighten us today. Bring us our speakers today. Make this event amazing and wonderful and marvelous like yesterday. Welcome.
Greetings, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to some of you. I'm Charmaine Gangan from Cape Town, South Africa, and welcome to the second day of this amazing summit. I took the opportunity to actually join yesterday online, and it was absolutely fantastic. The speakers outdid themselves. So for day 2, which is today, we just need to remind the speakers very quickly that you've got, due to time constraints, you've just got 10 minutes each. So without further ado and wasting time, I'm going to introduce our very first speaker for today. And our first speaker is Dr. VJE Caroline. She's the professor and counseling psychologist, chairman of the Life Foundation, MD of Vishwa Humanity United International Royal Council, Global Peace Ambassador, international speaker, MD of C8TV.net. Absolutely amazing credentials here. And she's all the way from India. Over to you, Professor Caroline.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am, for inviting me. It's a great honor to be on this platform. It is an amazing platform and a dynamic platform which invites the eminent speakers globally. Especially, I would like to thank my friend, my dear sister, Nada, who always invite me. And there is a great happiness and pleasure to be connected with Nada, ma'am. I would like to convey the first and foremost, to the IIU Global Community Education 2030 and Research Center for conducting this amazing summit, that is World Education Summit 2030. And the theme is the Roadmap of Education 2030. I'm Dr. Caroline from India, counseling professor and counseling psychologist, and managing director of Vishwa Humanity United International Royal Council, chairman the Life Foundation, managing director of C8TV.net, a web channel. Already you have introduced me. Thank you, ma'am, for the great honor. Education, I would like to take up what is a roadmap, being educators, being entrepreneurs, eminent speakers globally. What is the roadmap we have to lay for the younger generation? As we know that education is nothing but all-round development, we have to focus that education is all-round development. That is, they have to be mentally, physically, emotionally strong. I always say this statement in the beginning, even in the previous time also, I stressed about this being a counseling psychologist. And if we observe that as we are moving ahead, especially India, a developing country, and also many of the countries in the world, the pandemic has put a halt for the flourishment, especially in the area of education and finance. Many of the students, always we notice in many parts of the world, students, we find the dropouts will be very high. And the pandemic brought a great devastated state that many students have been dropped out because they were unable to access the gadgets. And many of the students are underprivileged and below poverty line. They are unable to get the gadgets and use them efficiently and effectively. And that also affected the standards. And a total world has moved back for almost, it is a decade back of the decline we notice in the education area especially. So we have to focus now, as though now and then we are hearing about the strain, it is moving on. Again, we find impact of the COVID on the lives of the people, that fear and phobia is there. But still we are running the institutions, schools, colleges, and universities effectively physically. We are making the students to come with the taking all the precautionary measures. That now we have to focus, especially how best we can impart good education to the students, how we can motivate them to have good education and flourish in their life and be a good citizens of every nation. That is the roadmap. I feel that has to be laid to the students, who not only thinking about the qualification. Many of the parents focus will be only on the qualifications and percentage. That has to be erased from the minds of the parents. Parents should understand that education is not just qualification. Education is about how to live a standard life with moral values and ethics. That is important. Because we, as a counseling psychologist, I will be dealing so many cases, and I noticed that many of the younger generation, that is young students who are pursuing their degree and post-graduation, I noticed that they're not leading their life very effectively, and they're being, attracted to the all bad habits, and many of the students are drug addicted. In engineering stream, I notice a lot. I did so many cases. And most of the students, they do not know how to choose their career and what is their goal, how to lead a successful life. They do not know, and they're not in a state to choose the right partner also. They do not even know what are the qualities and characters to be noticed in a partner, and they are running away. I don't know where it leads to. So that I feel that education is nothing but to lead the life, a successful life, knowing and understanding the values and ethics and the heredity of every nation. That is very important. And many of the students are emotionally weak, and if they are unable to succeed in their life, they commit suicide. That has to be addressed. We have to see that students to be emotionally, physically, mentally strong and able to face the traumatic situations or unwanted situations which has been erased in their life suddenly, accidentally. That has to be addressed, and they have to find out the solution for the problems, not to run away from the problems. So that kind of education is very much required. So all the educators and the entrepreneurs and teachers, principals, whoever related to the education field, they have to focus on students. And I feel that parents are the best teachers and the first guru, and parents also have to think about their children's life. And most of the parents force them to have either engineering stream or medical stream, and they feel that other education streams are waste. They're fit for nothing, and they don't make the students happy, the children happy, and they may not be a rich person and be on the top of the ladder, a successful ladder. So they have that kind of myth. I feel it is a myth that has to be erased from the minds of the parents. And we nowadays we notice the rush in computer stream, and definitely I say very near future there will be a recession, and most of the students who are in computer sector, they find hard to find the jobs, and there will be a huge competition. So, and other streams, mechanical, civil, and EEE and other branches have been ignored. Biotechnology, microbiology, botany, zoology, all these streams are ignored, and they feel that what for those subjects. But to live, every subject has its importance, and to lead the life and to have the flourished world, that every stream is important. That kind of education and awareness to be brought to the parents. So parents are ignoring or ignore such kind of thing, and they're concentrating only. The flourishment of children is nothing but they get only through engineering and medical stream. And the students who joined other streams like BCom, BA, and other CA, they look it down and say, "Arey, why did you take in these courses? How it is going to help?" Such kind of attitude is not accepted. And being educators, we have to conduct so many awareness programs, focusing on dropouts, focusing on gender equality. Especially, I emphasize on girl children education. As I run one NGO, the Life Foundation, especially I have adopted the slum of 55 acres and seen that the students of the slums, the children of the slums get good education. Education is nothing but quality education. I find a demoral attitude and behavior, and the environment is so filthy and foul to bear, and that I'm trying to eradicate at my level and see that the students flourish in their life with good morals, ethics, and values. I'm trying my best level to teach morals. I have established one library and seeing that all the moral stories and life histories of great people, leaders, global leaders, I'm making them to read on every Saturday. At least they learn, pick up one line from one book that ignite their minds. Definitely there will be transformation. That transformation is very important because at least I started the study centers with 30 students. Now I proudly can say that it has been enhanced to 150, and most of the students are showing interest to have higher education. Now my students are almost 10 students are in 10th class. And yesterday I attended the institution. I looked at how best they are studying, and they say, ma'am, 10 by 10, we are going to score. That kind of positive attitude has been developed within the short span of time. During Corona time, instead of wasting the time, I moved to the slums. I conducted many awareness programs and mainly educated the parents. And the girl children were not allowed to have good education. Not even they send the students to schools. They say that who will support our family. So I have brought up so many awareness, conducted so many awareness programs, and I brought the awareness in the minds of the parents and seen that girl children are being educated. Now, almost in my school, 80% are girl children only. I can say probably because I'm focusing much on girls and 20% only boys. But of course, I'm starting 2 more schools where now I'm going to focus even on the boys' education. So boys and girls should be imparted equal education, especially girls. If they're educated, they look at the family, and if one girl is educated, total family will be educated, and that will be ignited to the community to the nation. So we have to believe that gender equality is very important. If girl has been thrown out and looked down, and she will be humiliated, that impact will be high on the flourishment of the nation. So girl education is very important, and I feel that moral values and ethics, imparting the life skills, soft skills, communication skills are very important, because many of the students are unable to face the placements and have the jobs. And especially I focus on the entrepreneurship. I encourage students to focus on nature. Nature will teach many things. As we know that we are able to fly and move to one country to the other country and one continent to the other continent only because of the flights. And we know the Wright brothers, by observing the birds that has been developed. I say to, as an engineering faculty and professor, I say that you focus on nature. Nature will teach you many things. And we know the traffic system has been developed by observing the locust, and the computer network system has been developed observing the ants. So, the bullet train has been developed by observing the fish. So in this way, we can develop many equipments and take up the projects which support the society, and we can focus on the welfare of the society. So being a teaching fraternity, I always feel that the roadmap for education is nothing but developing moral values, ethics, and teaching them to lead a life, a successful life, with a positive attitude and self-confidence. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
That was absolutely amazing, short and sweet and to the point, Prof. And amazing because I've actually have a lot of similarities with what you have spoken about, and I also feel the same way about many things. Yes, absolutely. No student can be seen only in one perspective. Students definitely need to be seen in a holistic way, basically. We've got to look at mental, physical, social, psychological. And that's one of the huge issues. You know, we need to look at them holistically. We cannot look at them in silos. Yes, absolutely. Dropout rates across the globe is absolutely dropping in terms of higher education, especially first year students. I know they're struggling. And of course, we also have, especially us in, I don't like to say developing countries, but us in emerging economies, our students also have issues where there's a huge dropout rate. There's, the students are not focused enough on education. Some of them are too poor to even get into education. So we need to focus on all of these things here. And yes, COVID has actually taught us many lessons in higher education and basically the world over. And now we're kind of like starting from scratch again and trying to move forward and having learned huge lessons from what COVID has taught us. And yes, absolutely. We have students also who cannot cope with life skills. We have parents. Oh, that's so important. Peer pressure and parental pressure, where parents want you to choose your modules. Parents want you to go into engineering and medicine, and these students can't cope. And that is why we've got like a huge suicidal numbers for the entire globe. So thank you so much. Absolutely amazing and very, very informative. We hope to connect. Thank you so much, Raf.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Our next speaker, we just move on to our next speaker now. And our next speaker is Ms. Herdiana Devi Nurfika. She is an entrepreneur, certified NLP practitioner and life coach. She's a mental health advocate, CEO and founder of Bliss Education Center, and she's all the way from Indonesia. Over to you, Ms. Herdiana.
Okay, thank you so much, Mom. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to all the organizers, Global Educators Forum, Professor Pradipta, International Internship University, Pius Pandit Sir, and our IIU Research Center President, Professor Nada, and our great moderator for today, Ms. Sherman Kenjen, and my humble gratitude to all honorable speakers and participants. So we already had amazing first day conference with this topic, so let's continue another amazing, beautiful Sunday session. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay, is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the roadmap calls for change. We all know that, and it's for transformation, for shifts in mindset and behavior. It's not only for mindset, but it also for the behaviors. And crucial shifts needed to focus on the cooperation over competition, diversity over uniformity, and flexibility, learning over traditional well-structured hierarchical models of education, because nowadays we live in the digital age. It's really difficult to control the students' thought, the students' behavior if we try to implement like the traditional ways, because the students not going to get engaged in the topics or in the subjects that the educators or the teachers might give to them. And the education needed transformation, not reinvention. It means like we have to evolve into a new form on that is reflective, cooperative, and agile, with special effort meant to give students the space to be co-creator of this change. So we have to involve, we have to get the students involved and also get engaged with the activities that the teachers or educators are going to provide, so they can feel like, okay, I'm going to be led this process together with me, so they can enjoy it, not only learn it. So they can really get more adventurous while the learning process. So apologize, this is not, sorry. Okay, so for the roadmap, I got 6 points got lost that we want to highlight because we have a time limit. First, cooperation for excellence rather than competitions, because competition is important. We all know that when it's about improving our institution or school, it's not about putting the rankings and having a competitive approach to common public good, but we have to kind of move into the softer approach. Like we need to evolve in some kind of ways, but it's not going to be something like competition where we put the best or the worst one, because it's really going to get effect in the students' mental health. So we have to be consider the evolved way, but it's not going to be define themselves just because, for example, they got let's say not much score in some certain of tests. Is not going to define themselves. That's why we have to really emphasize the students that whether they got maybe bad scores or not, it's not going to define themselves, because yeah, we are going to the corporation rather than the competition. So it's not something like you have to put the stress much, because when we start to put the ranking and we really push that, the students get stressed, they might get burnt out, they might get additional extra stresses, and it's going to really impact on their final score in their grades as well. Next is greater inclusion and promoting diversity. I'm sure that when I watched the yesterday's session, some speakers already mentioned about the promoting diversity, because we all know nowadays that women and men really need to have same amount of education levels. And also we have to understand that we all need to get that by helping in promoting as well. So to make sure that this process is successful, we will need to focus our efforts on improving diversity among challenge confused and making sure that all students feel welcome and included at their respective schools. By working together with various organizations and nonprofits, we can help ensure that every student feel like they belong. So when the students get involved, whether they're man, whether they're male, they are going to get more excited and they're going to do something like more with the heart. And the result is way much better compared to when the teachers or educators are not going to, or maybe are not letting them to get involved in certain conditions. So when they feel like, okay, I'm belong to this place, I feel love in here, I feel like I'm feeling comfortable and I can be the best version of myself. But when the students are not feeling well, even in the classroom or even with the teachers of themselves, they're not going to be the best version of themselves. So we have to make sure that we set a clear, comfortable environment for the students as well. And we have to promote it. We cannot only stand alone and say like, okay, class, like we have to be open to each other and so on, but we need to do a corporation. We have to get involved all the people or the stakeholders or the corporation and the institution that actually get relationship for the students, include the parents as well as like Professor Fiji Carolyn already mentioned about it. So it's like a teamwork for all of us. So next, the guideline is also about academic freedom balanced by public accountability. So to ensure that academic freedom is applied in a way that this is fair and consistent access to all schools and their students, we have to do kind of the system checks, and balance can be created with all involved parties, including teachers, administrators, students, parents, and most importantly, state legislators working together. Because we, I don't know, like in my country, especially when we come up to the public school and a private school, it's going to be something different, even from the, let's say, all of the categories that the school are going to provide for the students, like the facilities and so on, is going to be different. And we have to make sure whether it's private or public, the students are going to get the balanced freedom, because we all deserve to get the same amount of education, no matter like how old are you or maybe what kind of the gender you are. So we have to make sure that we make it balanced. And to make it balanced, we have to do a clear check, because when we documented everything well, yeah, we don't know what is going to happen. Maybe there's some corruption in some schools and we cannot do anything if we don't have enough documentation. But if we have such a good system of checks, we can always track all the things, whether it's really received by the students or not. So we have to consider such things like that as well. Next is inquiry, critical thinking, and creativity. We also have to help them to unlocking the potential of every kind of science, literally. We know that nowadays many people try to develop critical thinking because we live in this digital age. If we compare this life or the situation compared to 5 years ago or 10 years ago when we were in school, it's completely different. So we cannot really just sit at the classroom and then just listen to the teacher. We have to get involved and develop our mind in order to be to get the critical thinking. So it means like we have to let the students being able to use scientific principles in everyday life to make informed decisions. So we can also help the student using the science literacy. In this way, they can also unlock the potential for many different types of literacy, including social, behavior, and historical sciences. Because this way, it's really important for the students from all backgrounds to have access to quality science education in school as well as out of school, because it's not only about the lesson that the teachers are going to provide in the classroom, but how to implement it in the real life, how to solve the problems related to the real life action and the science that they get at the schools. That's why the teachers really need to teach them in this way, because when they try to do critical thinking, they can develop kind of new potential that they actually might never heard before or never know about it before. Next is integrity and ethics. So this new role of an educator includes being able to not only provide a quality learning environment, but also being able to monitor the students' learning progress through technology and other. It means like the educators, they must be able to provide evidence that their students are learning in a variety of ways that include technology, social interaction, and traditional ways such as hands-on activities. Because like I have said many times, we live in digital age, the educators also have to be able to commit to use kind of the new technology, so the students are not going to get bored in 15 minutes or in an hour, as long as they are in the classroom. So they have to get involved in the new technology as well, because it's going to be more beneficial and useful for the future, for the workplace. So we have to be really pay attention about it. Next is a commitment to sustainability and social responsibility, having dynamic relationship with the community. So the foundation of 2030 is based on the notion that sustainable growth will lead to better returns over time, as well as being more responsible to community partners. So we have to let or encourage the students to get engaged in the kind of the community, because we want to grow together. We want to have this earth to be more safer place. So we have to encourage them and really try to make the example how to be in a good community to the students. So higher education, training, research, and social engagement needed to be shaped by three missions. First, educating citizens for this century means ensuring they are able to negotiate complexity, because we cannot predict what is going to happen even in the next 3 months. So they have to develop that critical thinking, like I have mentioned. Second, there is a need for a holistic approach and humanistic approach. Like following complexity requires knowledge to be produced through transferability and not simple putting together different competences as interdisciplinary requires, and it entails connecting the sciences and the humanities. Third, it's about social engagement and ethical responsibility, because we are a social being and we have to be really good to each other, to be someone that can really get something from other people as well in the future. I mean, like when we are doing something good, it's going to be good as well in return for us. So we have to make sure that those students are going to get involved in this 21st century skills, which is we have to be able to socialize to another person as well. So thank you so much for listening. I'm giving back to the moderator.
Thank you, Head Diana. That was an absolutely amazing presentation, absolutely wonderful. And even, even yesterday's session that we had with our speaker from Indonesia, amazing things happening in Indonesia. Wonderful. Okay, so I like the fact that you spoke about, cooperation versus competition. We live in such a competitive world. everything is about business and competition and profits. And we actually forget that instead of being competitive in education, we need to be more cooperative. And that is actually how we can benefit the students when everybody works together, when society works together as a whole. And I like the fact that you spoke about also inclusion versus inclusion, promoting diversity. I think almost all of us that are here come from different countries, different cultures, different social norms. And we need to ensure that we are very diverse in the way that we approach education. We need to work together. And I also like the academic freedom and public accountability. Absolutely. And having morals, ethics, and values in the education system, having good education systems in place. Like you said, the ticking of the boxes and balancing of the checks. Absolutely. We need that so much in higher education. And absolutely, we have, like, I know with us in the emerging economies, we have lots of issues in terms of social literacy and financial literacy. So we need to focus a lot on that, as well as, like you've mentioned, getting our students very much into sustainability. And we focus very much in higher education on, the United Nations Sustainable Goals, and also getting our students to think like that and also work towards not only a better society, but also a better community. So thank you so much for that. Wonderful. We move on to our third speaker. Our third speaker is Dr. P.K. Rajput. He is the Senior Vice President of International Business, Cadila Pharma Limited, and that's in Ahmedabad. And he's all the way from India. Over to you, Professor. Thank you so much for being here today. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Charmin ma'am. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everybody. Very happy to listen. Caroline ma'am, she always add lot of beauty, and Hardenia has added lot many things. I like to highlight something which I have learned from the educators here, that education for all, we are talking for education 2030, right? It is the basic thing is this asserts the need for shifting focus from the basic education to lifelong learning. And when we talk about the shifting emphasis, means from schooling to a more inclusive focus on learning, with a vision promoting quality lifelong learning, because United Nations Sustainability SDG goals basic objective is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all the children. So when we talk about the quality education, it requires 5 different things. One is the digital transformation, because we are talking about that. E-learning, second thing is. Third is digitalization, artificial intelligence, metaverse, use of AR and VR for the children so that they should knowing the things. IoT, Internet of Things, education for all. That is part of the United Nations Sustainable Development. These are the things are there which are very, very important, which can really build a lot of things which is really required. So I'm not saying our 2023, I'm saying that 2030, what the things are going to happen. So how the quality education should be the children centric, because we are basically building the base of the children. It should be supported by the self-driven teachers, encompassing the life supporting knowledge, skills, influencing the child's brain development and attitudes, promoting emotional regulation in the behavioral management, which we call it emotional intelligence. And for this, there are the 5 beautiful elements are there, which we all know: quality learners, quality learning environment, quality teaching, quality content for the processes, for the right context, and the quality outcome. These are the basic things are there, which is going to really help to have the things. And how it can happen? It can happen through the smart classrooms, which can be interactive, whiteboard, which touch receive the things, save the teacher's timing, allowing a lot of the time to unnecessary write, because with the whiteboard, we can synchronize. The student can see the thing which is really required, because after 10 years of the time, they are going to work on the digital media only. Smart board are there. Virtual classrooms. Today we are in IIU. We are in virtual university. We are learning lot many things in different parts. More than 100 countries are connected in that, because it's a virtual university is there. So it will be an era of that. Video and audio conferencing will be there, which is going to help a lot. Interactive online whiteboard sessions will be there. And there will be a collaborative learning, which is a group-based learning, because with the collaborative approach, we will be able to understand from the one person to the other person. The student will be able to grasp. Then gamification, which is again required, because through the gamification, with the inclusion of AR and VR, the student will be able to learn much faster way and much better way. Why I am saying so? Because now from November onward, that Chat GPT has come, and you know that Microsoft is going to spend $1,000 billion on this Chat GPT. It means the world is going to be changed. It will be a fastest movement, right? Like what Caroline ma'am has said, that how bullet train has come through the fish. Same thing, the Chat GPT is going to make a complete changes. So I'm finishing my talk. Will say that education for SDG 4 means including key sustainable development into issues in the teaching and learning, climate change, disaster risk reduction, biodiversity, poverty reduction, sustainable consumptions. These are the basic things are there which is required to the critical thinking, imagining future scenarios, making decisions in a collaborative way. All these things are there which is going to help to have a better education, which we have to start preparing from now. And all the educators are very clear that they will make the difference which is basically required. This is my understanding. And believe you me, I want to give one of the example. Last week, I was in one of the city at Pune. I went to a class which is supposed to be one of the best class. And the student from the first standard to the seventh standard, they are there. The class 5 student, they are working on robotic science. They're preparing a robot for their parents who is doing some of the work. In this way, the things are getting changed. The children, they have the IQ part, they have the EQ part, they have the critical question part. And in education, we have to add the SQ part also. SQ is socializing the question part, which people are missing in this post-COVID era. So these are the things which, as my uptake, which I personally feel it has to be added, and I'm sure everybody will really like to add more on that. Thank you so much for giving me time. I'm at the airport, but I thought I should not be missing this wonderful opportunity for listening, right? And also listening and contributing. Thank you so much, Charmin ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajput. Very, very short and sweet and to the point. And I think what I can say is, you know, between you and the previous two speakers, we just talk about this global, this educational metaverse that we're actually living in, how we're focusing on the emotional intelligence, very much the social. Because I think with the post-pandemic also came the fact that everybody was so isolated and everybody worked in, you know, in their little silos, and now suddenly everything's open again. And now people need to really, really work and socialize all over again. And that is so important, not only in education, but also I think with Dr. Caroline, she'll agree with me when I say also in developmental psychology, we need our children to learn to socialize so much in that ecosystem of ours. And also, yes, focusing on the emotional content also, and like you said, you know, so much of focus also on you know, the emotional aspect of education, because we're not only looking at the academic side of it, and you know, we don't just want you know, the points and all of that, but we also need to look at the students in entirety. Also very much, yes, about the content that we teach. It's very important, the quality of our education, having a conducive environment for our students, and also having exceptional learning techniques that we actually use to get the students into the 21st century. Thank you so much, Dr. Rajput. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And thank you, Caroline, ma'am. Once again, you always extend the same gratitude to everybody. Nada, ma'am, hi. Very, very happy to see you. You smile always.
Hi, welcome. A great speech.
I'm so sorry I have to leave. Thank
Thank
you so
you,
much.
sir.
Thank you. And I'm at the airport. You can see the people are rushing here. So I'm the airport. I have to take the flight. Okay. Okay. Please excuse me. Please excuse me. Right. Okay. Thank you.
It's so
Thank you so-
great. No excuse. Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to our fourth speaker for the evening, and we've got Ms. Chandani Kinga. She is a teacher, international speaker. She is the ambassador of many global platforms, and she hails from the UAE. Over to you, Chandani Kinga.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. First of all, greetings to one and all present here, and being a part of this lovely audience and the moderators and the other speakers and all. So it's always a pleasure to be with IIU and definitely with the other speakers to be again and again meet during these platforms and all. So it's all pleasure. Yes, I'll just share my screen before I start further. Okay, I guess it's visible now. Yeah. Okay, so talking about roadmap to the education 2030, and I think yesterday's session when I was there watching it online. So definitely we have seen that lots of eminent speakers have discussed about the SDGs, the different aspects of the roadmap of the education 2030. So I've just taken a few summary of how we, as an educator or as a leaders in the school, how we take the leadership of the learning of our students, of our learners, and how we proceed further with their future skills or their future development skills that we need for the jobs that don't exist. And definitely we play a major role, especially when they are at the school premises. So as a teachers, as an educators, we all reimagine, or we are in the phase of reimagining a new social, cultural, and cognitive development of the students. We all are here to reshape the future of education, and we all are here to ensure that the generations who are coming up, they always get something better what they are getting now. So definitely we all have to come together. It's a joining hands coming together, which will bring up the change, which will reimagine or reconstruct or restructure the education as we see today and tomorrow. Okay, and before that, just I guess there's some issues there. Yeah. And before that, let's see the video which talks about the country where I stay, that is UAE, how the UAE is developing as a visionary country, which talks a lot more about the education which we talk for 2030.
Science is the only way to awaken the minds, ensure progress, and meet the challenges in order for us to reach development. The words of His Highness Sheikh Zayed initiated confident beginnings and ambition. The UAE educational reform has developed further under the wise leadership of His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the UAE, in conjunction with the sustainable economy, which has resulted in an educational system that aims to mark the UAE at the forefront of the international competitive educational system. The relentless ambition of the UAE leaders has resulted in the UAE Vision 2021 and the Centennial Plan 2071, which has driven the Ministry of Education to work strategically to achieve the desired goals in line with the state's agenda and objectives. With the support of the UAE government, the Ministry of Education has been able to develop new educational tracks using innovative curriculum. As part of the National Development Strategy for the United Arab Emirates, there's a strong focus on establishing a world-class education system which equips the young generation with the necessary cognitive and social skills to prosper and achieve their goals. Today, the UAE is witnessing the development of local universities in terms of outputs. Different local educational institutions are leading and forging ahead with great and remarkable achievements, both regionally and globally. The work of providing all the rationales and resources that will promote the UAE educational system shall never stop. All students are entitled to become responsible citizens who love their country and are forever loyal to its leadership. sparing no effort to provide the homeland with all the elements of development and the welfare of its people. The very first stages revolved around the enhancement of education and its establishments by constructing modern schools and universities and providing efficient teaching staff, which not only equips Emirati students for a modern global economy, but also maintains authentic Emirati values, identity, and citizenship. The interest in public education also expands to an increased interest in higher education. The continuous support and initiatives of his wise leadership has allowed the Ministry of Education, along with other educational institutions, to focus on the constant development of education. The Ministry of Education has embarked on the journey of developing the pillars through which it ensures a qualitative educational system, allowing the UAE schools and universities to compete and achieve very high-quality educational outputs. The new developments in curriculum have also been supported by the introduction of a specialized data center, allowing the ministry to monitor and improve students' progress. The prosperous strategic vision of the late His Highness Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the founding father of the nation, has accelerated the systems of improvement at a rapid pace and has developed the educational process to achieve high standards and new dimensions, which is unstoppable in the UAE today. Being the education pioneer is a crucial aim of the UAE, its leaders, and people. All these virtues combined would guarantee a prosperous future for the country and its future generations through the avenue of education and knowledge.
Okay, so as we have seen that how, especially when I'm working in the UAE, definitely we have to look into the national parameters, national agendas, the curriculum alignment and everything as compared to the development that the country is looking for, and how this development of the education that is looking to the vision of 2030, as we have seen in the video as well, that how the UAE government has already framed the structure of the education in such a way that they have the future vision for next coming 50 years. And it includes lots of aspects, including the development of the SDGs in the economy, including the emergence of the efforts or the resources that are required for the development of the economy, with where we talk about that how the education 2030 is going to be a fulfilled or the accomplished goal for the UAE. And they talk about the first rate education system, where they want their all the citizens, that especially the Emirati students and the expert students coming from the variety of countries, how they want to build them as a base, or how they want to create the country with the education as a platform. And as we know, the roadmap of 2030, including the SDGs again, which talks about to ensure the inclusive and equitable quality education by promoting the lifelong learning opportunities for all of them. So this framework actually helps the UAE vision also to be aligned with each other, and support by providing lots of resources and availability of n number of factors which are supporting this mission. So world education, again talking about the UNESCO and talking about the SDGs, definitely we have the different scenarios that we look into, talking about the past education system that we had, and talking about the current situations that we see, how the smart classrooms have came into effect, how the technology has taken place to a greater extent when it comes to the education, how the ecosystem of the smart learning is getting set up for the coming generations, for the young learners, how their critical critical thinking skills are being developed, how their convergent and divergent thinking are given a space in the smart classrooms and all. And along with this, if we see the skills that our students are going to learn, especially the ones who are already learning and the coming up generations, if we talk about what they exactly are going to learn, is a combination of all three of them. That is knowledge, skills, attitudes, and the values that they get or achieve in the school environment. And all this will bring up them to a particular competences that we say as a future jobs, or the jobs that don't exist as of now. And based on those competences in terms of their cognitive skills, their mental abilities, their physical and emotional quotients, or their intelligent quotients. And considering all of this, it will be put into the real life actions or real life world scenarios, where the students will be able to utilize this education and the skills, considering the education 2030 targets. If we think about the circle that we with the navigation towards the future well planned education scenario, then it definitely covers up everything that is knowledge, values, skills, and attitudes, and how we take up towards the well-being of considering 2030. So it's not only where the students has to be put into the pressure of learning, and definitely we will be working on that. The reflections will be the one which will be taking place. How the teachers' development will also take place, that's a major concern over here. And along with that, how the balance will be created between the well-being of the teachers and the students. That's again the factor that has to be looked into. And when we talk about what will be the role of the teachers for education 2030, so when we think of the roadmap, that how the scenarios are changing, how the situations are changing, new challenges are going to be there in the teaching profession. Definitely the teachers who cannot replace themselves, or can upgrade themselves, they might face the professional challenges. The teachers might have to become more technical performers, because they have to meet the requirements of the students. Teachers also has to give the personal guides, also has to become a facilitator, or the mentors or the coaches for the students based on the need or the demand of the society. Creating the learning environments, this becomes a major challenge, because as in the traditional education, this was not that big challenge. But as we are seeing that becoming a smart classroom, or creating a ecosystem of the smart classrooms, sometimes the behavioral issues becomes a part. Sometimes it becomes unmanageable for the teachers to take the control or the charge of the classroom environments. The social media networks again definitely is going to play a major role, and the teachers also have to take step forward to understand all these scenarios. And along with this, if I just want to put it over here, I can just say that this challenges will be met by the teachers, and the role of the teachers will be enhanced and enriched by providing them the professional development trainings or the opportunities. And definitely the schools leaders also have to take a charge to combat with the challenges that they are going to face in the upcoming period, to meet the sustainable development goals, and to entertain the education 2030 roadmap. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope you like the session as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that very, very informative session, Chandani Kinga. So you from the United Arab Emirates, and I was just listening to you, and I was actually just thinking how very fortunate you are. You know, you can have smart classrooms, and you can have all these things, you know, you've got the money and what have you. And then when you look at countries like where I come from in South Africa, we're still struggling just to get basic things in place in school. But it's actually so important to actually know how the leading or the first worlds are actually, you know, running with education, how we are also trying to adapt and change, and also try to keep abreast of the changes in the globe also. So I like the fact that you said, you know, we need to reimagine and reshape education. Gone are the days where, yes, traditional education is almost phased out. You know, we're now busy with smart education. We're using lots of technology. And I think even the poorest of the poor countries we're using technology or some form of communication with the students, whether it was, using your laptop, whether it was using WhatsApp, but we're always doing education. Yes, and also global focus is on science and technology, very much so, because we need to address things like climate change and all of that that's actually happening. I like the fact that you guys have an amazing strategic plan in place. Your innovative developments, your curriculum that you're focusing on. And also I like something that you just mentioned, which is something I'm very passionate about, and that's the KSA, the knowledge, the skills, the aptitude or the attitude of the students, giving them the morals and values, which we tend to, students, we're living in such a different dynamic world that the focus on that has kind of like gone by the side of the road kind of thing. So we need to refocus on developing our students into that. Yes, and education is not only student-centric, it is also focused on the educator, on the management of the schools, the management of the various education systems, and also society as a whole. So that was actually amazing. Thank you so much for that. And yes, and focusing also on lifelong learning. I think we need to create that mindset where education does not stop when you've qualified, you've got your degree or your diploma. Education is forever. We are learning every single day different things. So thank you so much for that wonderful, innovative, and effective presentation. Thank you. Okay, so now we move on to our fifth speaker. Oops, we're actually halfway through. Amazing. Okay, so our fifth speaker is Dr. Pallavi Prakash. So Dr. Pallavi, she is the founder and the chairman, Knowledge Seed Learning Center and Pallavi Prakash International Productions. She's an author, she's an international speaker, she's a senior life coach, clinical psychologist, filmmaker, and TV panelist. Amazing credentials here. Welcome, Dr. Pallavi Prakash from India. Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, greetings to all the excellencies, dignitaries, and all my honorable peer speakers. It's such a pleasure to be part of such a wonderful global platform. Let me extend my heartiest congratulations to the International Internship University and all the associates for putting up such a wonderful program in form of World Education Summit 23. Because I really feel that it's a big task for organizers to, loop in so many different kind of tools, resources, people into one such quality program. So heartiest congratulations for that. Now, as I'm known to be a global motivator, a filmmaker, so I have not prepared any presentation, to be honest, but I always speak from the heart and it reaches to the million hearts. So I'm known to speak crisp, to the point, and to the heart. So that's exactly my purpose and notion to be here today, to add something extra which has not been shared since yesterday. So let me see what comes out of my kitty. All right. So what a wonderful topic, the roadmap for education 2030. Well, my dear friends, the entire world is a firmament and we are global citizens, adding value each and every second towards its improvisation, renovation, and sustenance. This is my belief. We add value each and every second towards its improvisation. We add value by our skills, knowledge, expertise, and positivity in all sectors of life management. I'm using the word life management because all the sectors are finally connected to being to lead a wonderful life, isn't it? So life management is the father of all the sectors which we are going to talk in one or other, global programs. And education is the pillar of par excellence life management. That is my conviction. So the topic is I would say it is related to my heart, because as a global motivator, I have been thinking about the futuristic education. It seems like whatever was on my mind is coming to the forefront now. So let us take a look at what I have to share today. Well, The Roadmap of Education 2030 is a vision of the future of education, which is, it's a pillar of technologies, tools, strategies, and EQ. All right. So it's technologies, tools, strategies, and EQ. So this will all shape up, the entire learning paradigm and the method of teaching in future. It includes the adoption of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and augmented reality to create innovative learning experiences like metaverse technology, like robotics, like whiteboards, like so many varied, the innovative technology methods which we are using as motivators or mentors. It also focuses on creating a more personalized approach to education, creating a personalized learning path for each student. Please mark my words. This is something which is a new point. The future would be based on creating a personalized learning methodology or path for each student based on the individual needs, interests, and the skill sets. It won't be confined to a wholesome kind of curriculum which would be applicable to everybody, right? But it would be more towards personalized, customized as per the needs, interests, and skills of each and every learner. I'm sure all of you agree with me. Additionally, it looks to incorporate more problem solving and critical thinking exercises, which my other peer speakers have just mentioned. The mind will be trained to think in a critical and problem solving approach method altogether, not only going towards curriculum, but how to think out of the box. Out of the box teaching methodology or out of the box training method for the mind would be much involved in future teaching methods. All right. So as you have seen, the EST for 2030 roadmap sets out urgent challenges facing the planet and underlines the implementation of the new education for sustainable development. That is, towards achieving the SDG 2030 framework, which aims to increase the contribution of education to build a more and just sustainable world. All right. So another point which is very interesting, which I would like to discuss, that future would be more towards creating a digital, digital literacy. Digital literacy is a new word. All right. We know about literacy rates. We know about how literacy rates, vary in various countries. But now we would be talking more about digital literacy rates. All right. So education in 2030 will be very different from what it's today. Technology is advancing rapidly, as all of us know, and it is more likely to be most instructions and learning will be done online. All right. There will be much greater emphasis on personalized learning, which I just mentioned, and a personalized path with bots and AI coming more into play. All right. My third point is that, global citizenship. I was just speaking in a World Women Economic Forum last December, and this is what exactly I laid emphasis on. Now we need to think from the perspective of being global citizens. We cannot confine ourselves towards one nation, one area, or one geographical location. We need to broaden our horizons and think as global citizens. If we talk about future education, then the entire learning would be more comprehensive towards creating harmony as global citizens. This is another new point which I've raised. Harmony as global citizens. So the EQ level has to be enhanced, skill learning has to be enhanced, and the soft skills would come very, very actively into play. All right. So more towards, besides the skills and besides the any particular curriculum which a student would like to pursue, but soft skill would be compulsory in all the curriculums. Please mark my words. Education, many of the predictions are already into play that, the entire education would be revolutionized. It would be more global approach towards learning with cross-border collaborations and exchanges. This is exactly what I mentioned. The learning would be more focused towards cross-border collaborations and exchanges, because more and more students would be going to various countries for their skill enhancement programs, for the EQ enhancement programs, for the life management enhancement programs. All right. I'm trying to share all the points which are new and the things which have not been discussed till now. All right. Now, changes in the job market could also result in more focus towards skill-based learning rather than towards skill-based and creative learning rather than technology-based learning. All right. So, few salient features point-wise, which as you can see, and as an experienced person of 20-30 years, so I've taken out few salient features which would rule the entire future of education and would lay the foundation of not only education 2030, but for many, many years to come. All right. Like, for example, in India, I am one of the mentors of change appointed by Government of India. So the change has already been said. We are mentors of change. See the word which has been used. Mentors of change. We are not only mentor, but mentors of change appointed by a government to inculcate the seed of change in students, which I'm mentioning right now. All right. So the salient features would be technology will take over. All right. So technology and education are making a serious and positive bonding these days. They are becoming best friends. More accessibility. Point number 2, since the prices of education services will decrease and new mediums are started to grow, the accessibility of education will increase. Students from any class of society can learn through online mediums with minimal cost. That will increase the overall literacy rates of developing countries all around the globe. The major reason for the poor literacy rate of these countries was uneven per capita income, but that will really vanish now. Number 4 is freedom to choose the curriculum. In today's education system, schools are not given much freedom to choose the customized curriculum for students. But very shortly, my dear friends, schools will most likely to be able to change the system and offer the freedom to the students for customized curriculum and subjects of their own choice as per their skills, interests, and their vibes. By doing this, students will be more interested and focused on the studies that will increase their skills, and that will also increase the overall GDP of any country, therein increasing the overall GDP of entire globe. So this is a very important point here. Mentors and teachers will get similar importance. The learning space will be more diverse, my dear friends. Diversity is in the education system is the future, as we have been discussing. And there'll be plenty of new technology methods. So students can study from any part of the world. They do not need to rely to the schools, but they can study from anywhere and any place in the globe. So learning space will be more diverse. A wide variety of learning materials will be available. Books will be almost obsolete because the next generation is already, they are hooked to all the online methods, to the bot learning systems, to the gaming methods, and very soon the gaming technology will be used in the curriculum as well. So these are the 5 salient features. Cross-border, as I said, a collaboration of education would be focused, last but not the least. So these would be the 5 most important salient features on which the pyramid of future education, or I must say, the realistic education would be based. So that was all from my side, which I've shared from experience in speaking in so many seminars all around the globe. And as a filmmaker also, I would like to add my experience that even the filmmaking area is, it's experiencing a lot of change. So very soon I would be launching my first movie in Metaverse. I was invited as an eminent speaker in the first global Metaverse conference last month. I'm really glad to share that. So that was all from my side. Thank you once again for inviting me to share my bite of wisdom on such an important platform. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pallavi. Very, very interesting and very informative. and also the background that you come from, and being in so many conferences, symposiums, and having to do so much with the international education system. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I was just reflecting a little bit, and all the speakers between yesterday and today, and also looking at the Vision 2030 education, for one of the SDGs, is that most of us we're all focusing on, changing the entire education metaverse. We all want education to be, technological, to be smart, to include life skills and soft skills to the students, to look at the student as a holistic being. So, that being said, it's actually so amazing. And, all the things that you said, absolutely, so relevant in the entire global education system. And, I was actually just thinking about when you said, having, the students should be able to work like all over the world. And I come from an entrepreneurial background where I teach students across the globe in about 15 countries. And we communicate, via the WhatsApps and the Zooms and all of that. And it's amazing to see how we are not, constricted anymore. We are global. We can go anywhere, and technology is actually assisting us. It's just that I think we just need to change our mindsets and actually be mindful of the fact that education is not only technologically focused. It's a holistic. And thank you so much for that, because all of these things it's just getting the juices actually going here, and absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that informative talk. And yes, I think
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I think at the end of the conference we should all collaborate, do a global collaboration. Sure. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that informative session. And now we move on to our speaker number 6, and he's an academician, doctor, scientist. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I think it's Dragan and it's Jovanov. He's an academician, he's an inventor, he's a scientist, researcher, educator, humanist, agroecologist, phytotherapist, and he's all the way from Macedonia. Welcome and thank you, Dr. Dragan Jovanov. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Thank you very much. Dragan Jovanov.
Aha, okay.
Not sure.
Something
Not
new.
Sure. Not
Something
sure.
new.
Thank you very much there. Thank you, Professor Pradipta, for inviting me. Thank you, organizing team. Today, I speak the educational system, sustainable development, ICD for 2030 roadmap sets out the urgent challenges affecting the planet and underlines the implementation of the new education for sustainable development towards achieving the SDGs ICD for 2030 framework, which aims to increase the contribution of education to building a more just and sustainable world. The ICD for 2030 roadmap outlines action in 5 priority action areas on policy, learning, environments, building capacities of educators, youth and local level action, stressing future ICD key role for the successful achievement of the 17 SDGs and the great individual and societal transformation required to address the urgent sustainability challenges. It is also underlines 6 key areas of implementation, country initiative on ICD for 2030, ICD for 2030 network communication and advocacy, tracking ICES and trends, mobilizing resources and monitoring the process. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, approved in September 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly, establish and transformative vision towards the economic, social, and environmental sustainability of the 193 United Nations member states that approved it. To complete the ICD for 2030 roadmap, UNESCO has developed this ICD for 2030 toolbook to provide an evolving set of selected resources to support member states, regional and global stakeholders to development activities in the 5 priority action areas and activities in support of the 6 case areas of implementation. Let's talk about AIM. It aims in mobilizing all countries and partners around sustainable development goals on education and its targets, and proposes ways of implementation, coordinating, financing and monitoring education 2030 to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and lifelong learning opportunities for all. The Global Education Development Agenda by 2030 focuses on effective acquisition of relevant knowledge, foundational and transformative skills and competence and the basic of learning throughout life, and as well as learning for work and civic, social and cultural life. The main vision of Agenda 2030 creation was on September 25, 2015. The United Nations approved the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and Universal Roadmap to end poverty, fight inequality and injustice, address climate change, ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030 under the control motto of leave nobody behind. And countries are involved in the 2030 agenda are 193. 10 targets to achieve the education 2030 agenda. The 10 targets of Sustainable Development Goals 4 encompass many different aspects of education. 7 targets are of expected outcomes, and 3 are means of achieving these targets: universal primary and secondary education, early childhood development and universal pre-primary education, equal access to technical, vocational and higher education, relevant skills for decent work, gender and equality and inclusion, universal youth and adult literacy, education for sustainable development and global citizenship, effective learning environments, scholarship, teacher and educators. And when the conclusion education 2030 will be prosperous, healthy and achieving targets from all sides. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let me see if I can get it right. So Jovano.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much for that. Very short and sweet. And again, like all the other speakers and like yesterday as well, it's so wonderful to know that, okay, I mustn't say developing countries, all the emerging economies of the world, from the biggest to the middle to the smallest, are all, you know, abiding and trying to really work on Vision 2030 education, you know, what the United Nations wants for all of us, you know, equitable, equal, diverse education for all. And it's wonderful to know that in your country, you are all, you've signed your contract, you are running with it and you're moving forward. Yes, moving, you know, and also focusing on not only education per se, the transformation of education. Yes, how we saw education 20 years ago and how it has transformed now and how it's going to be further transformed for the next 100 years. And also looking at, and one important thing that you mentioned is that also having the processes in place, you know, education is just not only education per se. We need the higher education authorities, we need the countries, leaders, also to be able to monitor and to evaluate education, any issues, problems, and we need to, you know, to correct and move on and you know, create a better learning system in all our countries. So thank you so much for that. And it was very informative and very short. Lovely. Thank you so much. Now we move on to our speaker number 7. We've got Dr. Kalicharan Rath. He is the Associate Professor, GIET University in India. Okay, so welcome, Dr. Kalicharan Rath from India. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, namaste. Namaste to all. Thanks to provide an opportunity to share the little bit experience and knowledge from my end. Nice presentation provided by all the speakers. I was since last day. Very good discussions going on. As per my knowledge is concerned, and I have gone through the various literatures and the various, you can say that survey reports. The SDG goals are particularly focused based upon the relation between the educator and the society. So they want to make the world in such a manner that the life can be sustainable. So they divided the total goals into the 12 category, based upon which through the education system, an educator can provide its best understanding service to the mankind to make a sustainable life, a sustainable environment, and a sustainable society. So focused on that, this 2030 target goals, which is made by the unit for the sustainable development team members, that how an educator be involved himself through the education system to understand the total scenario of the life as well as the environment and the society. So through the education system, they want to produce a good thought process and a real educator. Education and educator both are different. Education means to understand about a system. Educator means to understand not only about the system, but about the society and the sustainable life. So 2030 target goal focuses how we will sustain our life and how we'll train the new coming generation that they will sustain for their life, and how we make an eco-friendly relationship through the education as well as the technological system. Education provides the target, but an educator provides the solution how to achieve the target. So both are interrelation to each other. So through the education, we are providing a thought or a road to the mind. We are training to the mind, and we are telling that start from the birth to end of the breath. That is the journey of the life, and throughout this journey, a person have to learn how to understand the society, how to understand each other, how to interact with the problem, and with the critical thinking, and then through an easy process, how we can able to take a step to provide the solution, or we can able to solve that problem for our own sustainability. No doubt, science provided a very big, technology provided a very, you can say that advanced technological skills, but who will use? We will use. At the same time, the side effects come, then who will solve? We have to solve. So the target 2030 education provides that how we will control all the wastage without hampering to the environment, and we can understand about ourselves, and we can able to understand the other, so that all the problem of the society can be solved, and we will be how we will be a part of that one. That provides the education. And throughout this education system, it always focuses one point, that is the life learning. That means learning don't stop. If you are not learning, then we are reaching the, or we are just reaching the old stage. Even an old stage person is working very hard, or he's keen interest and working for himself for sustainability. He is a young because he's learning something and he's implementing something, or he's providing his service to the society. Either it is a small work or it is a big work, that is not a matter. But if you stops learn, then your brain becomes a old as well as the wastage one. So always we will think that something have to learn, and that learning must be an outcome-based learning, and that small learning, we will train the student, we will train the other people through our understanding process that how they can able to sustain. And this life learning always provides an initiative step for the, you can say that, innovative ideas. If we will not a life learner, then the innovation will not come. Innovation will come only through the life learning process, because test will change time to time. And to tackle the test, we have to learn how to cook the things. And to cook the things, the learning is important. So starting from the school level, through the intermediate, and to the higher education, it may be a normal or it may be a technical, that does not matter. But still, our end of the breath, we have to learn and we have to implement and we have to think that how societal problem can be solved through our learning process. And that is the outcome basis education. That is the target of the education, that what we are teaching, that must be used to solve the problem of any kind of problem of the society. So if your education will help to solve the societal problem, then we are telling that we are the educator, because we are understanding ourselves through the education system. But apart from that, we have to understand ourselves, how to build the relation with each other, how to exist ourselves, how to sustain ourselves with each other, how to share our experiences, our everything with others, how we will able to help to the poor people to grow their level of from the poverty. So all the things will be taken care by the educator. This is the main target of the roadmap of the education of 2030 in the Sustainable Development Goal as provided by the UN. Thank you. Thank you so much. So this is only the summary what I achieved after 1.5 years of my experience to study all the thing about the SDG goals.
Dr. Kalicharandra, thank you so much. That was actually short and sweet and to the point also, again, focusing on the SDGs, you know, like what we have been doing over this past weekend. And I like the analogy that you made, you know, learning how to cook. It was actually so amazing because, you know, we often are looking for all these extravagant terms and all of these things. And it makes so much of sense because in order to cook a pot of food, yes, you need all kinds of ingredients to put into that pot so that you can make a delicious pot of food. And so too with education, you know, if we're looking at education from the entire ecosystemic way of, you know, how we bringing everything together from the social, from the cultural and everything and technology, and bring it all together to make this well-defined student, whether it be a young student, a middle-aged student, or even, like you said, even an old person who's who wants to educate themselves. And it's not only about just a young person. Everybody needs education, young and old. You know, you never end. We are lifelong students. So that is absolutely amazing. And yes, with the reference also again to OBE, you know, outcomes-based education, which we're still focusing on a lot. Yes, bringing a whole student instead of just a theoretically inclined student who's only just focusing on theory, but also bringing in the life skills and the social skills of the student. So thank you so much for that. Very informative and sweet and short. Okay, so we move on now.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. So we're moving off now to, I think we're off to Croatia. We are, let me see if I get the pronunciation correct. So it's Zelska. Is it Zelska Jovanovac? Is that correct? She is a teacher international international speaker. She is the ambassador of many global platforms, and she is all the way from Croatia. Over to you.
Thank you. It's Željka Jovanovac.
Željka. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, greetings to everyone from Croatia, and I would like to say my gratitude to Dr. Pradeep Mandal for this great opportunity and this amazing event. Also, I want to gratitude for IAU. It's a really important topic, road for education 2030. So my topic is about modern teaching and evaluation in education. Modern teaching is based on idea of an active student who, through research and interaction with other students, acquires new knowledge and develops their skills. So the role of the teacher changes from the traditional role in which the teacher was almost the one source for knowledge and unquestioned authority. But the modern role, it's in which the teacher becomes the leader, advisor, and moderator of teaching activities in classroom. So the traditional writing preparation as a ready-made template for the lesson is replaced by multi-purpose materials, activities, and ideas that can be applied in many ways, dependent on the capabilities, prior knowledge, and needs of students. And these are teaching scenarios is traditional right preparation as a ready-made template for the lesson. So the level of performance complexity for the teaching scenario roughly corresponds to the level of complexity to the digital competence. Digital competence consists of knowledge, skills, and attitudes. The contribution of teaching scenarios in design activities that, in addition to implementing ICT and connecting with real-life examples. So motivate students and make teaching imaginative and attractive. In doing so, the specifics of each subject are respected. So the modern school is a school for all students. It is inclusive and also each student to progress according to his abilities, whether he is gifted or has learning difficulties. For each student with disabilities, it's necessary to investigate the task that will enable him to participate in all activities so that he can achieve the set outcomes. The role of the teacher in teaching is to make students capable of individuals for the further action in society. Modern learning is essential for generation growing up in the digital world. Students of digital generation also need to accept that knowledge is a power. Knowledge is what contributes to better society and world today. We need to encourage students to contribute to a better world with their knowledge and digital skills. But after modern teaching is also important evaluation. With the introductions of subject curricula and evaluation guidelines in the education system, teachers are faced with new teaching and evaluation challenges, and schools are in need of valid, objective, and reliable information in order to establish internal systems for monitoring and improving the quality of their work. So the external evaluation of educational outcomes enables obtaining valid, objectives, and reliable information that serves the purpose of establishing an internal system of monitoring and improving quality at the level of education institutions. A process of self-evaluation, which consequently leads to improvement of quality at the level of the educational system. One of the fundamental mechanisms for this establishment of such a comprehensive system for monitoring are improving the quality of education and national exams, the results of which are used for school self-evaluation. National exams are standardizing external exams whose goal is determine students' achievements in basic knowledge and competences in key parts of the educational cycles. Basic knowledge and competences are considered to be the mother taught or the language in which students are educated, as well as knowledge of mathematics and science.
Solanchka, please mute your microphone, please, and go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, then.
So with the national exams, almost all educational systems at the national level systemically monitoring achievements in the key areas mentioned in order to take measures to all educational levels, from the school level to the level of educational policy. which will ensure that the achievements are at a satisfactory level in accordance with the capabilities of each student. One of the fundamental mechanisms for the establishment of complete system for monitoring the quality of education and our national exams, that is standardized external exam, whose goal is to determine the achievements of students in basic knowledge in key parts of educational cycles. The National Center of External Evaluation of Education began implementing the project development of the National Examination System, which has two basic competence, the development of the National Examination System and the creation of database of tasks with metrics and content characteristics that will be available to teachers and students. One of the first activities of this project is the appointment of members of the Commission for the Development of the Model System of National Exam. The Committee of the Development of the National Examination System model consists of the expert team of the National Center for External Evaluation of Education and its external members from relevant educational institution. The key task of the Commission for the Development of the National Examination is a system model are the analysis of relevant national and international documents in the field of evaluation in education and the development of the National Examination System model. The National Exam in History, which is my subject, examines the knowledge and skills of 8th grade students acquired during primary school education so far. Students are expected to understand area and society, as well as understanding the important characteristics of historical periods and societies that are subject of study with the application of appropriate terminology. Also looking at the past and expected using the skills and technical concepts of the time, and space, causes and consequences, continuity and changes, working with historical sources, clear perspectives and comparisons and confrontations. So I will be the end of my presentation with this the sentence of Albert Einstein. He said that learning must be set up so that what is offered to the student he receives as a valuable gift, not an agonic duty. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for this. And yes, actually, I must say I agree with that, about the Albert Einstein's quote that he's written, very much so. And we must apply it to our current day education as well as the future of education. Yes, and I like to, the one thing that was different for now is that you actually focus on something which is also very important, which is improving with the quality of examinations and national examinations. So in South Africa, we have just finished, we've just had the results of the national examinations. It was released on Friday and everybody was so excited and all of that thing. But also with national examination in countries also, yes, there has to be a specific or set standard, set of monitoring and evaluation skills and tools that we have to ensure that examinations, go off without hitches. And we found that, just listening to the Minister of Education here in South Africa and, all the many challenges that we have. And I'm sure that most countries also experience, maybe not the first world countries, but most countries experience issues and challenges with national examinations, having all the students writing one examination, across the country and trying to put it all into perspective. So very nice of you to actually focus on that, which is also very important because we focus so much on the students, but we also forget about the examination. And then we also forget about the educator, the teachers, because they themselves have so many challenges, in the classroom or even in the virtual setup. It doesn't come without challenges. And thank you so much for actually focusing on that for today. And now we move on to our next speaker. We've just changed a little bit. So our next speaker is, right. So he's an academician, senior professor. I think it's Chaplain General Eboria Yu Charles, who's got a PhD. He's also a vice chancellor of the International Internship University. And he comes from my continent as well, the African continent, and he is in the country of Nigeria. So welcome, Professor.
Thank you very much for this great opportunity you are giving me. I appreciate every one of you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. It's a pleasure meeting us once again. I want us to know that today's topic is a very vital topic, which requires at least much of our attention. Roadmap of Education 2030. Education should reach every learner across the globe, and no child should be deprived of education. If we can educate one or two persons, we can change their lives. But if we educate many, we can change the whole world. Attention is required to promote the whole institution approach to ensure we learn what we live and we live what we learn. Building capacity of educators, empowering educators with knowledge, skills, values, and attitude needed for the sustainability development, so as to transform education. We need to know one thing: curriculum managing platform that will help to transform our teaching from paper and pencil to interactive and visually guided learning adventure should be upheld. This roadmap gives students choice, provide multiple learning modalities, engage a child in a constructive animation, videos, games, visual stimulations. We also need to know the following 4 pillars so as to enhance our education of 2030. Learn to know. We need to enhance to acquire knowledge via learning to possess masters in knowledge. We need to learn to do. Vocational technical education, a shift from skill to competence. We need to learn to live. How? By caring, by sharing, by respecting one another, by resolving conflict via dialogue, so that there will be peace in our educational system globally. We also need to learn to be personal development, to be woman. We need to develop critical thinking, exercising independent judgment, be committed and responsible. What are the things we need to do in the structural area? Choose the type of roadmap. Share your why. Tailor our roadmap to our audience. Prioritize our right teams. Stay flexible. Use our right road mapping tools. Maintain the roadmap clear and compelling. We need to assign broad time frame for milestone. And we still need to maintain the structure we have in India, about 5 structures of educational system. We need to maintain it. In the area of primary, pre-primary school stage, we look at the foundation of a child's behavior, the knowledge and the skill. We look at the other area of primary stage of the educational system from class 1 to 5. And we also look at the middle stage, the secondary stage, the higher secondary stage. Whereas in Nigeria, we also have the system which we need to uphold, 934 structure, we need to uphold it. The 9 years basic education, which comprises of the low-based education curriculum from 1 to 3, middle-based education curriculum from 4 to 6 years, and upper basic curriculum junior secondary from 1 to 3, which give that 9, and the 3 years secondary school education, 4 years tertiary education. education in Nigeria has developed over the years after the initial introduction by Christian missionary, because it is one of the major sectors in Nigeria that contributed towards nation building and economic growth. The Federal Ministry of Education regulates education in Nigeria, and the National Policy Education set standards and guidelines that educational institutional follows to ensure students are prepared for their national building and development. The current educational system in Nigeria follows 9 years, as I already said, and the roadmap of education is very important because it helps keep team members on the same page in terms of initiatives, scopes, objective, and time frame. The roadmap also in education help those in charge of the team members to communicate objectively and share status update quickly. And we must note the good aspect of roadmap in the area of, as far as a good in education should follow this following stage. That is easy to understand, clear, attractive from details, must be flexible, should be central around the big picture to solve, not solution to those problems, to solve, not solution to those problems. There are different stages of education, as I already said earlier. One thing we should uphold also, we should uphold the education statistic. What are the education statistics we are looking at? We are looking at the official framework used to facilitate international comparison of education system should be upheld. As you know, it was developed in 1976 by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, and was reversed in 1997 and 2021. Education statistics uses indicators based on international standard classification of education 2011, as seen below. Like we know, in O, that is the earlier stage of a child education, the primary stage 1, the second level education 2, the upper 3, and the post-secondary non-tertiary education 4, and the short scale tertiary education 5, bachelor degree or its equivalent 6. We have master degree and its equivalent 7. We have doctorate degree and equivalent 8. So all this should be emphasized. And also we look at the school mapping, gives teachers the automatic tools to create, to edit, to search, to uphold data from our syllabus, lessons, and the curriculum. School mapping increase students' achievement, simple, user-friendly, and cost-effective. Also enhance communication and collaboration, which I used in. We are giving that opportunity for collaboration, giving that opportunity for communication, so as to enhance learning, which we want everybody to embrace. Together, we can, and we ensure quality education for children across the globe. This is the wish of our able founder, Sir Piyush Pandey. And by God's grace, such will be achieved by us. Thank you very much for the opportunity. We pray that God will come to sustain us and give us good health of mind and body. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Charles. Very informative. And yes, I'm actually your neighbor down south on the continent, and when I'm listening to you, you know, just listening also to the challenges that you have and we face also in South Africa, and challenges together, you know, on the African continent, and you know, and what I like is that we all are moving or striving towards, you know, educating everybody, and the term that or the phrase that we use where we say that no child shall be left out. You know, so we are being very inclusive, including and also being very diverse. So irrespective of your culture, your diversity or whatever, everybody is inclusive. So actually I like that because we stand very much by that, and I think the whole global community is actually moving toward in that direction. Also including, you know, also having I like the knowledge skills and the aptitude that we are all focusing on in terms of education, you know, building our students as holistic beings. and also being able to, what I like is also being teaching our students to be able to dialogue. You know, it's one thing teaching students and getting them so focused on theoretical skills, but also being able to teach our students to be able to dialogue, not only locally in communities, but also internationally. And that is actually so important. So I really like that. Developing of women, yes, we've come a really long way, I think globally, you know, in terms of education of girls and education of females. So it's very good to hear that, yes, the entire fraternity here is actually focusing on girl education. So that's excellent. Also, you know, focusing and all governments should have, yes, national policies and guidelines with regards to education, and not only have the policies, but able to live the policies, to monitor and evaluate those policies and change as needs be. And also I like the fact in entrepreneurship, we always tell our students, you focus on the solution and not the problem. So I like that very much, because yes, we should be solution driven, not problem driven. And I like what you said also. You spoke about you know, school mapping. It's actually a nice little phrase, school mapping. So thank you so much for that informative session, Prof. And over to our next speaker. I think I'm just waiting just to hear. Okay, so our last speaker for the evening and afternoon is Dr. Inga. Let's see if I say it right. Kachilava. She is the Europe head. And also International Internship University, and she's from Georgia. So wonderful and welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Warm greetings from Georgia. I'm Inga Kachilava. Thank you very much for this invitation. It is really great honor for me. Many thanks to the organizers, all the great speakers. Today is an important day, and World Education Summit 2023. Today, I will talk about one of the important issues, inclusive education. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, inclusion is an English word and means involvement in Georgian. Inclusive education involves the inclusion of students with special education needs in the general education process with peers. The right to education of students with special education needs is mentioned in various international documents, as well as in the law of Georgian on general education. Problems related to inclusive education are often the subject of discussion both in the population and in the academic field. Such urgency of the issue pushes us to properly analyze the challenges that inclusive education faces today. Also think about the prospects for such education in the modern, rapidly changing world. Research has showed that inclusive education is generally perceived as positive, but a small proportion of parents of students with special educational needs think that the learning environment as a whole provides a favorable environment for their children. And like these parents of healthy students, a fairly high percentage of them think so. My dear friends, my dear colleagues, all children have the right to receive an education. Therefore, they should be given the opportunity to attend a certain level of education. Every child has unique personality traits, interests, and skills, of course. Accordingly, the education system, one minute. Please mute your microphone, please. Okay, can you? Okay, all children have the right to receive an education. Therefore, they should be given the opportunity to attend a certain level of education. Every child has unique, personality traits, interests, and skills. Accordingly, the education system should be arranged in such a way that educational programs take into account this wide difference between individuals. People with special education needs have the right to attend public schools, where pedagogy is focused on the students and take into account his or her needs. It is well known in the psychological sciences that every human being is born with a certain genetic data allowed. The social environments plays a big role in human development along with innate predisposition. Okay, the goal of inclusive education is to create the environment where children can realize their full potential. Inclusive education has become one of the priority areas. Step by step, not only the approach are changing, but also the attitude of the society towards people with disabilities. I repeat once and for all that every child has the right to education. It is, rights in the Constitution of Georgia, as well as in the Declaration of the Rights of the Children. Okay, Science 2000, inclusive education has been introduced only in school. And Science 2030, inclusive education has been introduced at the level of vocational education. This is very good. The effective steps taken by the state over the years have been successfully reflected in practice. For a country like Georgia, where people with disabilities were hidden and did not have the right to speak in public, the current situation is favorable, but not satisfactory. Okay, as for the general condition of public school, inclusive education is provided in all schools today, if there is a need for it. Today, the students is relatively better than at the beginning of this process. Interdisciplinary team work with students with special educational needs. Special teachers, tutors also, psychology also, and social workers, and so on. The attitude of the society is gradually changing, but even today, you can hear from the teacher, I have an inclusive child. I teach a disability child. I have a poor child in the class. Oh my God, these words, of course, not good. The attitude of teachers and parents towards people with disabilities that are made, the attitude of children towards their peers who have any limitation. There is still a lot of work to be done and a reform to be done on this issue. Human resources, in particular, the insufficient number of psychologists, are also a problem. And one of the fundamental challenges concerns the components of teachers. A lot of trainings have been actively conducted in these last few years to improve the skills of teachers, to raise their qualification, and to work as teachers. Only certified teachers have the right to do so. We cannot say that the overall level of teachers is satisfactory. As for the future perspective of inclusive education, it is necessary to note that its development is not hindered and stopped in one place. proper work on all of the above challenges is essential for the successful implementation of inclusive education in practice. It is necessary for the monitoring and the evaluation system to function properly, to improve the legal framework, to adapt to the physical environment. All this will be possible only with the joint work of ministry, also parents, students, and psychology, and so on. Okay, thus in the modern world, where the supreme values is equality, tolerance, and respect for the uniqueness of each person. The model of inclusive education is of great importance, as it is based on moral and ethical principles acceptable to a democratic society, which enables all people to feel like a full-fledged parents and to live an active life. Thank you so much for listening to me. This topic, you know, is very important for me, of course. And as a teacher, I have a great responsibility. I work in 2 schools as well as a college, and it is probably advice how many students I interact with on a daily basis. I want to be a source of motivation for every students and their friends, of course. Thank you so much. And again, congratulate to all.
I would like to greet Isabella.
Thank you so much. If I may call you Dr. Inga, very, very important. And yes, talking about, inclusive education. And I love the last part where you said that, every country or most countries or most forward-thinking countries of the world have got embedded in the constitution that, every individual must be treated as a whole and be given an opportunity. And so too does every individual have a right to education. So I really like that because I live by that principle. You've touched on that. You're talking about inclusive education, and also where, yes, children should, we have mainstream education and we've got Montessori education. And we need to remember that not all students and not all children are the same. So we need to also give them that bit of individuality so that each child can explore their own abilities. So I really like that. And yes, talking about the pedagogy of education and also improving the skills of educators. Yes, because education doesn't just stop here. The educators themselves also need continuous upskilling, evaluating themselves. It doesn't mean if you've graduated as an educator, you've got a PhD, it stops there. No, it continues and it's lifelong as well in order to improve the standards of education. Also talking about the knowledge, skills, and the aptitude of students, which is also very important. We want our future generation to be whole people. We don't just want them to be technological or just emotional people. We want them to be holistic beings. So thank you very much for that informative session.
Now we want to call our great Professor Karudin. Give us a speech yesterday, moderating, today speaking. Professor Karudin.
Yes, Professor Nadar. I was worried that you might be calling me.
Yes, you are welcome.
Professor Charman,
yes,
doing a wonderful job. I wish I could have heard her from the start because I was traveling. I'm already out of Kuala Lumpur. I'm by the seaside now. I'm in my apartment.
Okay, no problem.
And then I was able to join and listen to the rest of the speakers.
Okay,
yes,
so Professor Karudin, we come till the end. International Internship University, Global Community for Education 2030 IIU Research Center jointly organized the World Education Summit 2023 on the theme The Roadmap of Education 2030. This was an amazing conference. This was an amazing, important conference on the multi-factor nature. We were focusing on education 2030. We are talking about the school in 2030. What is the project? What are the goals? What are the visions? A healthy and stable population, world-class education and training, effective social protection, authentic and transformational culture. First and foremost, I want to thank to our project directors, Professor Pradip Tamandal, our great Sir Piyush Pandit, Professor Nada Ratkos, Dr. Snikta Kadam, and all our eminent speakers. We want to express our gratitude to all of you for valuable time, for enriching us with the notes. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for the amazing session. Thanks the person behind the success also of this today's event, our great Sir Piyush Pandit, who gave us this great stage, this great IIU stage. And we are here working for education. For 2 days is an International Day of Education. Invest in education to prioritize education. Invest in people. We are doing that. We are investing in our educators. We are reflecting, learning, collaborating, enjoying, and we are great to our students, to our collaborators, and to all. So today, the day 2, we can say thank you, lovely audience. Thank you for being with us this both days. We are coming soon with the new events. Be with us, encouraging us, giving us your opinion. Please, we know education can change the way we are looking ourselves and the world. And good education is a key to a successful life. Successful life of our youth, of our students, is something what we are working for, our vision, our mission. So let us cherish and adore the real value of the good education. Still, I want to thank to our amazing today master of ceremony. She was great. She's coming from South Africa. Thank you. Thank you so much for being excellent today. So, till our next event, stay safe, stay healthy, and let's continue growing and building a future for our youth, for our students together. SDG 4, equal education for all. All needs to have an education. So, let's finish our today's event. Let's finish it. Thank you. Thank you all for being us. Till next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and be with us. World Education Summit, the end. Bye, 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 bye.
Bye-bye.